Hello, everybody. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about the word consistent. As we all know, it's an adjective. Someone who is consistent always behaves in the same way. I think there's this misconception out there that when we use the word consistent, that we automatically almost take it for granted, where we always assume that it's positive. Unfortunately, consistent could be in a negative way. It's neutral. It's neither positive nor negative, and it's based on the actions and the daily habits of that particular team or that particular individual. Case in point, we can talk about the Detroit Lions over the last 50 years. They've consistently lost. They've consistently not performed in the playoffs or not even made the playoffs. Where on the flip side of that, sorry about that. On the flip side of that, if we talk about the Detroit Red Wings from, say, 1991 until 2009, we can say that the Red Wings were not only a winning hockey team, but they were a Stanley Cup contender consistently. They were a tough out. Anybody that came into Detroit to play at Joe Louis Arena knew they were in for a tough game, and more often than not, they would consistently come out of Joe Louis Arena with a loss. The Red Wings were very good at home for a lot of years. That's consistency in a good way. As we talked about the Detroit Lions, we could say that it's consistency in a negative way. So it's neither positive or negative, but it's ultimately up to the individual or the team to dictate how that word is interpreted. So when we say that we are consistent in a positive way as a player, we have good habits. Now, last week we talked a little bit about habits. We talked about Vince Lombardi and what it takes to be number one, and I paraphrased it by saying, for the individual hockey player, the players that find success are the players that do things right all the time, and it's their work ethic, it's their daily discipline, it's their being coachable, it's the amount of effort they put into their craft, and their success is not accidental. And from a team perspective, the teams that generally have success are obviously the teams that buy into playing both ends of the ice and to be really disciplined and to not take too many penalties, and they move the puck, and they get in the shooting lanes and the passing lanes, and they defend well, and they're hungry for loose pucks. All of those things are obviously habits, and it's going to lead to a consistent winning team or a consistent losing team. And then as the individual, you either make the teams that you want to make or you don't, and all of that comes down to holding yourself accountable and being consistent with your daily discipline in order to reach your desired goal. I think there's a lot of times where, a particular player, maybe they don't have realistic expectations, or they don't have realistic goals, or worse yet, they don't have any goals. And I'm not talking about how many goals you score. I'm talking about what goals do you set for yourself at the beginning of every season that you want to achieve. It's not all about scoring goals. It's not all about getting assists. Making yourself better first and foremost. Those players that want to score goals and want to be point producers, which generally are forwards, then obviously there's certain things that you should break down. So if I want to score 40 goals in a season, then I have to get obviously a minimum of 40 shots on goal, right? And the more shots you take, the more chances you have to score. The players that for some reason don't get a whole lot of shots on net, they can really look at it quickly and figure out why they're not scoring goals. How many shots are you taking? So those kinds of things are important. But for the individual hockey player, which is what we're trying to focus on here with development, we realize that, and I took this off the internet here, but I thought it was perfect. It's hard to be consistent because we tend to focus on the outcome more than the process. We're more drawn to the positive feelings of outcomes rather than the struggle of the journey. What does that mean? I'll break it down so everybody can understand it. Alexander Ovechkin has scored over 700 goals in the NHL. Do you think he was focused on goal celebrations, or do you think he was focused on the journey? The journey is, how many thousands and thousands of one-timers has he taken in his career, in practice sessions and training sessions? How many hours has he spent in the gym? How many hours has he spent working on his foot speed? How many hours has he worked on his strength? How many hours has he just worked on just strictly shooting the puck as hard as he could? How many hours has he put into his skating ability? So he is focused on the journey. He didn't focus on the outcome. The positive outcomes are a direct result of his journey, and the fact that while he realized it was a struggle, there's days he didn't want to go to the rink. There's days he doesn't want to go to the gym. There's days he doesn't want to take 500 one-timers after practice. There's days he doesn't want to watch game film and look at what he's doing right and wrong. There's days he doesn't want to work on his skating. He could just as easily stay at home and do none of those things. But because he's focused on the struggle of the journey, he's become elite. Shoe-in Hall of Famer, scored 700 goals. You take Sidney Crosby, over 1,000 games in the NHL. Do you think he is focused on strictly the outcome of scoring a goal? Or is he just made it a mindset that he's going to be the hardest working player in Pittsburgh and lead by example and do all the things that he needs to do to ensure a long career? So a lot of times kids will come off the ice and they're disappointed that they didn't score a goal, or they didn't get an assist, or maybe they didn't get the result. They were out there when the other team scored and it could have been their fault. So defensively they made a mistake. And you're going to focus on the outcome, that you didn't score, or you missed the net, or you got beaten as a result of getting beat, you got scored on. Well, what if you actually just decided that you were going to focus on making sure that that didn't happen again, or that you did score? I mean, so what I'm saying is you focus on the struggle. You focus on the journey. I'm going to score 20 goals next year. What do I need to do in order to score 20 goals next year? What do I need to do next year to get 50 points? What do I need to do to make next year that when I'm on the ice, I don't get scored on, and I'm going to have a plus on the ratio instead of a minus on the ratio, because I'm going to work on my individual skill with my skating, with my strength, with my quickness, with my nutrition, with my rest, with my shooting, and I'm going to do all those things. So when you develop consistently in a positive way, that means you are going to develop consistent good habits. And so, again, I talked about it last week with what it takes to be number one. The players that find success, regardless of their position, regardless of the team that they're on, the players who consistently put in the time, and the players who consistently face obstacles and adversity, and the players who consistently take the journey and meet it for what it is. It's a journey. It's a struggle. There's days that are going to be hard. The players who consistently meet those obstacles and that adversity day in and day out with no excuse, those players will find success and they will rise to the top. However, the players who focus on the outcome, oh, I didn't score a goal. Oh, my team lost today, and they start to feel sorry for themselves and they start to say, oh, I can't do it. When the players focus on the negative outcome that they had, and not what they can do to fix it, well, those players will run out of spots. Those players will not be played when the game matters. Those players will find a place sitting at the end of the bench feeling sorry for themselves because they're not getting the playing time that they want. That's because they didn't focus on the struggle of the journey. Focus on the journey. Focus on getting better every single day consistently. Because as I said, consistent can be positive or it could be negative. But one thing is for certain, that being a consistent hockey player in a positive way is 1,000% in control, and ridiculously in control, of the individual player if they choose to be better.